just complete the course. Just pouring out of the Gravedigger Chevrolet. There's the replay. Gravedigger, probably when he landed, it really torqued it. Little doubt about it, in the left-hand lane, the Chevrolet Carolina Crusher. Please have a big hand for the Monster Truck competitor.
I'm up to my shins in mud, what a sight. I didn't sleep all night. My back is sore and my hands are in shreds. Now this carburetor here don't wanna work. I must love to play, cause it sure as heck don't pay. Come on and drive that monster truck. Come on and drive that monster truck. From town to town and coast to coast, we're driving every night. 6 to a room and 3 to a bed. And now we're up against the Sherman tank on a Chevy truck. We're at the line, we're shifting gears, let her go. Come on and drive that monster truck. Come on and drive that monster truck. The flag is up, the engines roar. I'm glad I checked the clutch. The old man says it's in the bag. I think we'll shave a sec or two the second time around. The best man wins and the loser has to pay. I should have stayed at home and gone to school like my mama said. But this is all the class I need. I learned that awesome power and guts will win it every time. The finish line is the only line for me. Come on and drive that monster truck. Come on and drive that monster truck. Come on and drive that monster truck. Come on and drive that monster truck.
Bigfoot probably. I like Bigfoot. Bigfoot.
How about you?
Bigfoot. Oh, Bigfoot was good because it was the original one.
I liked Bigfoot because I liked the big part when he jumped over the cars.
Standing tall and sturdy, shining like a summer's day. He's gonna smoke him off the line and tell him, sonny, you don't win and you don't get paid. He's awesome, watch him lining up. Hey, listen to the people cheer. It's music to his ears. They call him Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks. They call him Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks. Everybody wants a piece of the action. Everybody wants a winning day. But when they get a load of what he's packing, mama, they haven't got a thing to say. Just get his engine running. He's the hottest rig that's off the road. He's ready to explode. They call him Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks. Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks. They call him Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks. Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks. So come on, it's thunder crashing. We're waiting for the crunch. He's gonna slap it in gear and pour it on. He's gonna have those other trucks for lunch. He's gonna have those people jumping up. Wow! Wow, should shut the others down. He's gonna keep his crown. They call him Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks. Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks. Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks. Ha! Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks. Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks. Oh, Bigfoot, king of the monster trucks.